Hi everyone, my name is James Hush and I'm a solutions engineer at Daily. Now today we're going to show you how to migrate your Opentok Vonage app to Daily in 3 minutes instead of 3 months using our new shim libraries. Now we've included links to both libraries below and a link to the demo that you can also try out on your own. Now Daily's APIs perform best when called from a new code base. However, shims are a great starting point for moving your existing application from Vonage to Daily. This gives you the time to migrate your app to our platform using our own native client SDKs, or even moving to Daily pre-built instead of being in a rush. We understand production apps are often 5, 6, 7 years old and have thousands of lines of code that, frankly, nobody really wants to touch. You may have even experienced some scary migrations in your past, taking months at a time, always slipping to the next quarter. So we thought to ourselves, what would a migration look like if it was easy? A customer could use Daily without changing any of their Vonage code. And so that's precisely what we did with this project. Let's hop right in. Let's start by cloning the demo project. So inside Visual Studio Code here, I'm pasting git clone, https, github.com, daily demo / Opentok conversion project. So I already have it cloned here. We can see we have the project opened up here. And the next thing is to make sure we have all the npm dependencies installed. So to do that, actually, we'll make sure we go inside the project first, and then type npm install. So that'll start installing the dependencies. Next is we want to make sure we copy environment.sample to environment. And the reason being that is this is where we're going to be storing our Vonage API keys, our Vonage API secret, our Daily API key, and this handy helper variable that'll let us switch between using Daily and Vonage. Now with that all set up, we can run npm run dev to start running this project in development mode. So if we see in development mode, see here, we can see my camera show up, and we have that Vonage UI kind of set up here. As you can see here in the console and the network, it's all grabbing. Oh, I could give it a refresh. And the console and network will be showing Vonage logs. And we also have a link here using our Vonage API keys to create a new Vonage session. And clicking on this link opens up a new tab, and then joins our session from Vonage. So it's a lot of me right now here. So going through looking at the code though, you can see this is all Vonage code. This is all like create session this, initialize session that. We're not using any Daily APIs. Now we want to switch. We want to switch this Vonage project to a Daily project, but we don't want to go through and change absolutely everything. We just want to kind of get things going. And this is where these Daily shims come into really handy. So what we can do is do npm install daily-opentok-client. And what that'll do is I'll go to npm and install our version of the Vonage library. So instead of talking to the Vonage Opentok servers, I'll be talking to the Daily servers. Now there's 2 ways to change the front end here. If you're using a more modern Vonage front end or a more modern JavaScript environment, you're probably using npm modules. If that's the case, then anytime you see any sort of code that's like import star as Opentok or import OT from Opentok client, we can erase that and just replace it with import star OT from daily Opentok client. So kind of like the surface level API is exactly the same. Now, we understand that in a lot of Opentok projects aren't using no modules. They're just using a script tag with an HTML file. And that's fine too. So what we can do here is search our code base for this script tag, usually something along the lines of like static.opentok.com, blah, 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 opentok.min.js. And we can replace that with a reference to our npm package on unpackage.com. So this is the same code that you would get if you did npm install, but this is pulling in the front-end library through a script tag instead of using npm. So if you don't see at opentok/client anywhere in your code base, that probably means your code base is using a script tag to include the Vonage Opentok library. So you'd switch it here. So we can hit save to save this file. Now let's change the backend code. Now the way Vonage sets up things on the backend is a little bit different from daily, but still pretty similar. In Vonage you use sessions. In daily we create rooms. Now while there's a few differences between rooms and sessions, for all intents and purposes, you can think of a daily room as an Opentok session with more features. That's the simplest way to think about it. Now, to get our app to create daily rooms in the backend instead of Opentok sessions in the backend, we'll first need to install the daily-opentok-node library. So to do that, we just need to do npm install daily-opentok-node. That'll add the package to our package.json. Now, if we look into our backend code, we have these two netlify functions, session.js and token.js. Sessions for creating Opentok sessions, tokens for creating Opentok tokens. Now, we want to use our library. So in this example project, we have this nice little helper environment variable called useDaily. And so that's what we really have to set. Setting that variable is what's going to change which require we're using. So if we go to our .environment file and switch useDaily to true, we'll get it there. So I can do the same environment, useDaily true. Now this is great if you want to do some sort of A/B testing or split later. You could use the same method. But if you want to just keep things simple, it's also possible to just use require like so. But I'll undo this so we have that nice little helper set up there. Oh. Okay, now going down a little, you can see the API for the Vonage, the Opentok node library is very, very, very similar to the daily shim, but there's two key differences. One, we don't have that extra parameter in daily, so we can just leave it undefined. We can just leave it as blank. The main thing is to make sure that we're passing in our daily API key as the first parameter when we initialize a new Opentok object. And two, and this is very important, because we generate tokens a little bit differently, we need to also be able to get the daily domain ID. So this is an example of an extra little thing we had to add to the API to get it right. So we just have to make sure that we call await ot.getDomainID on top right after initializing the object. And that's how we'll be able to do self-signed token generation. So adding that line, adding here, and hitting save. Let's try running the library now. Oh, wrong folder. npm run dev. Now you can see here, let's see if I make it bigger. Instead of having the Vonage session, we have this daily room URL instead. So that's saying that our backend's working. And as you can see here, we have a new video. We don't have that Vonage kind of Chrome. This is just a straight video element for us, but it's using daily video. And so if now we can join this room. Oh, and you can see me. This is my MacBook webcam by default at the moment. But another interesting thing we can do is we can join this room using daily prebuild. So if we just paste in this URL and load it up, here's me in daily prebuild. I hit join. And now I'm seeing me from here in daily prebuild. So this is also really, really handy for testing. If you ever need to do a spot check, just to make sure that it's, just to see if you're trying to figure out if the issue is in your code or if it's in daily's code, I highly recommend just pasting in the room URL, checking it in daily pre-build. If it works in daily pre-build, it's probably a bug in your code. If it's broken in both places, then definitely, 100% definitely reach out to us and we can get you fixed real quickly. While our shim libraries don't support every edge case, the support for the shims, they're growing daily, no pun intended. So if you run into any issues whatsoever, please contact support with any questions and we can help guide you through the migration progress. Thanks for watching.